coming in late and missing the session yesterday. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I had to, aside from food security, I had to ensure that I had to ensure my health security. Session 1, if we recall on the first day, actually looked at the multidimensional nature of the nature of food security. So we had the key speakers that looked at, starting with Professor Paul Pegg, that looked at the various dimensions of food security. And he looked at the relationship between urban and rural food security. And when you're looking at this particular dynamics and addressing the issues of immediate policy, technical, and other interventions to improve overt food security, some of the points that were raised were the increase of self-production of certain selected food items, the development of diversity of food sources, and non-traditional supply chains through the development of smart partnership. 3, the more technical part, which I think has been mentioned earlier, the promotion of urban and peri-urban agriculture through the use of modern techniques such as agroparks, aquazones, vertical farming, rooftop aquaponics, and aeroponics, and the improvement of food stockpiles and the reduction of waste. I think the issue of reduction of waste came as an important element as one of the mechanisms in actually improving food security, because there's always been the argument that sometimes it is not really the quantity of food that is the problem. Sometimes it is really the management of the stockpiles and in the distribution. We also had a session, apart from looking at urban and the relationship between urban and rural food security, there was also a discussion on a specific case study on food security in Cambodia, but looking specifically at fisheries. And the question that was raised is, when you have economies or small city states that rely on fish stocks, how do you actually promote a sustainable way to manage your fish stocks? And among the points that were raised, I'm sorry, I don't have the program with me, but I think it was Dr. Sonam who talked about this. It's, well, one of the things, apart from the improvement of low-cost technologies for processing of food products, decreasing post-harvest losses, is really strengthening your law enforcement in ensuring that you don't actually overfish, or that you actually manage the way you sort of catch fish by outlawing certain practices, like the use of dynamite and other equipment. And related to maintaining the sustainability of your food stocks, ensuring that the other developments around these areas are actually do not actually cause undue or unnecessary impact. And one of the cases that was mentioned during the discussion was the impact of the construction of river dams. And this is where you can, when you actually talk about issues like fisheries or maintaining food security, the nexus between food security and energy security comes about, because in certain areas which are very rich in natural resources in terms of, and are keen on developing hydropower to address issues of energy security, it can have unintended consequences. And in this case, it's really when you build all these mega dams to address your energy security, it can have an impact on your fish stocks. The other thing is, the other session was actually trying to see how private corporations can actually help in the management of agriculture. And I think in this case, there was a discussion about sustainability of agribusiness. And agribusiness can improve food security by providing farmers to grow more rather than to grow more from less. This can be achieved by basic things like information, technology, knowledge resources, access, market access, and infrastructure. All this, I think, reinforces the discussions that transpired in the other sessions. basic things like financing, insurance, and information on things like market, weather, and pest control. And finally, there was a session on how other parties, not just the food exporting, but the food importing countries, what is their role in trying to manage the security? How can they contribute to the stabilization of availability, food access, and utilization, not just for Asia, but the rest of the wider region? And this is, it also highlights the role of highlight the fact of what you can do to act locally or to act regionally in order to address a regional and a global problem. In this case, zeroing in on the role of non-importing countries, like the role of Singapore, for example, what was discussed on that particular session was making them or urging the countries like Singapore to act as a test bed for innovation and innovation for many things, and in this case, innovation for farming techniques, such as the techniques in agroponics and agrozones, vertical farming, root farming, etc. And if countries are well endowed in resources, countries are well endowed in being able to tap the best minds and the best, technology, then they can be a precursor, they can be a conduit, right, for the region to actually, with their help, they may not have the resources in terms of land, but you have resources in terms of knowledge that can actually be then used to spur on regional cooperation. In Singapore, OAU status as a leading global and regional financial hub, you can also serve as a basis for even such thing as robust and deep rice futures market. I think this is something that can perhaps be discussed. So this would therefore add substantially to stability and even for transparency for the formation of things like rice, the pricing of rice, which would help confidence in the reliability of information in the world market. I think this is basically important. Thank you.
Well, thank you